Good morning. I am Melissa Jagodinsky with the Volunteer Center of Brown County, and I have here with me Brooke Graham, Volunteer Coordinator with St. John the Evangelist Homeless Shelter, the Micah Center, and Wellspring. Hello, Brooke.
Hello, thanks, Melissa. Thank you all for checking out this Zoom session. I'm so glad that you want to know more about our organization. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I have a little something prepared for you all today. So there's three things that I would love to share with you. First, I want to tell you a little bit about our organization, who we are, who we serve, then a little bit about the volunteer opportunities, and finally, how you can get involved. So I want to start with, who are we? We are St. John's Homeless Shelter, the Micah Center, and Wellspring. St. John's Homeless Shelter is the top picture you can see here, and then the Micah Center and Wellspring. St. John's is a seasonal emergency shelter located in downtown Green Bay. We obviously have our emergency shelter that runs the coldest months of the year, November through April. In our off season, we have other programs right now in our summer Safe Sleep, which is a sleeping only program for 35 individuals. In our shelter, we offer what we call stability living, which is separate living spaces for people who are working on their sobriety or may be employed. Additionally, we have guest internships where guests who are leaders can be employed with us as interns and be earning a wage toward achieving their goals. Now I see that I forgot to plug in our numbers here, but the St. John's Shelter serves hundreds of individuals each year. It is adult, men, and women. The average length of stay at our shelter is 33 days, which is an interesting stat because it can range from 1 or 2 days all the way through our chronically homeless who we see year after year for different periods of time. And you can see some of our lovely volunteers at shelter. Some of these individuals pictured here have been in our shelter once for a service group, and some of these volunteers may have been here for years ongoing. Next for you, I have the Micah Center. The Micah Center is a daytime resource center for adult men and women, and it isn't just for people experiencing homelessness. It's also for people who are at risk of experiencing homelessness. The Micah Center provides resources and referrals. We have workshops, we have case management, and lots of opportunity for community because we believe that that social piece, that connectedness is vital for people achieving their goals and finding self-sufficiency and sustainable self-sufficiency. The Micah Center each year serves more than 400 people. And these pictures here, I can see we've got our maintenance, we've got people at helping serve at a barbecue, so a range of opportunities here as well. And finally, our third location is Wellspring. Like the Micah Center, it is a daytime resource center, also located in downtown Green Bay on the west side. This one is specifically for women, which we're so excited about. Wellspring came on board with St. John's about 2 years ago. And so many of our female guests have experienced domestic violence in their lives, and to have a place just for women has been so encouraging and supportive to that group, to those women. Wellspring provides peer support, referrals, resources, and again, that community piece, that connectedness. Serving more than 300 women each year. The guests of Wellspring, some are homeless, many are not. Many are living with mental illness, maybe disabled, experiencing financial instability or instability in relationships. So that's just a very, very quick snapshot of who we are. I'm happy to talk more about that with anybody who wants to hear more. That was the short version. So I'll go ahead and jump into what are the volunteer opportunities. So hopefully in those photos that you saw across the 3 locations, maybe you saw some people having fun. We like to have fun whether it's a fun job or not. But you can see on this list here, some of our volunteer roles. We've got hospitality, floor support. These 2 jobs are really focus on being with our guests, having those conversations with our guests, slowing down, having a cup of coffee, playing a game. It can look like a lot of different things. And hospitality is available as a volunteer role across all 3 of our locations. It's really important that our volunteers connect with our guests. As a staff too, we make it a goal to really connect with our guests and know people on that individual basis. We have meal serving opportunities, laundry over at shelter, always organizing projects. So if you are that organized person who just has a vision for the space, we need you. Yard work, I see a typo, shame on me. Yard work, landscaping, that kind of thing. We could use help with office reception. We welcome service groups. This could be recurring service groups. It could be a one-time group. Gather your friends, your coworkers, your church group, whoever it may be, and we will put you to work. And also, we want to share with you who we are. We don't want you just to come and, oh, I cleaned this at the shelter. We want you to experience who we are and why what we do is so important, that we're impacting people's lives on an individual basis, seeing the dignity of each person. And you may not believe it, but doing laundry helps us provide dignity to the guests we serve. Or, sweeping the stairs, which somebody did yesterday. It is so important. It is so important. Now with COVID, it has changed the landscape of things. We're doing things differently. Our meals look different. We're doing bagged lunches. We have volunteers who have made, I think, 500 bagged lunches in the last month alone. And so new things are evolving. You'll see kind of at the bottom of my list, I said, let's get creative. What are your skills and giftings? Volunteering doesn't just look like this on my list. Volunteering at St. John's can look like anything. You have a skill with music, come play. We would love to welcome you in and have our guests experience your creative skill. Or, maybe you are a painter. Come to a workshop. Let's paint together. Those are creative skills. I'm not the most creative person. I would come in and be like, hey, let's do some like editing on a paper. But really, truly, we want to work with you and your skills and your giftings because we want your volunteer experience to be as meaningful to you as it is to us. We don't just want to take. We know that you will be more fulfilled and more passionate when you are connected to what you're doing. So that's kind of our heart behind what our volunteer opportunities are and what they can be. They could be a lot of things that aren't listed here. And then lastly, what I have for you is maybe you're interested in learning more. These are the next steps. So of course you can visit us on our webpage, stjohnhomelessshelter.org. There's a volunteer tab. You can fill out an application right there online. The first button you can click in the volunteer tab is apply now, and that will take you to an online application. You will hear with us in under 2 weeks, whether you're approved or not. And then coming up in just a couple of weeks, we've got some virtual Zoom orientations. So once you've filled out that volunteer application, I would give you more information about attending one of those Zoom orientations. But I will certainly get you more information, more specific information once you've submitted that volunteer application to us. So what about you? What is your why for volunteering? How could you use your passion, your skills at St. John's? What of these volunteer roles I mentioned or maybe didn't make ideas would you like to explore? So that's kind of what I leave you with. What would be meaningful to you as well as to us? So I'm going to pop out of sharing my screen here. Melissa, can you think of anything? What would volunteers want to know that I have not already shared?
I guess my question is, what are the typical hours that volunteers come into the shelter?
Wonderful question. So the shelter, as I mentioned, is seasonal. We run our full programming 6 months of the year. That's November 1st through April 30th. During that big, broad shelter season, the opportunities really are from early morning all the way through evening. That is the time of year when the time that you can volunteer is the broadest. So the earliest morning would be the serving breakfast, the doing the laundry. We're not 100% sure what breakfast will look like, for example, with COVID. We're really changing some things up for fall and they're not all set yet. But then all the way through evening, that would be some hospitality, some floor support, which I didn't go into detail, but that really is monitoring the floor, just what's going on, are there needs, can we pull a staff member in, that kind of thing. But those are all day long at the shelter. In the summer right now, I mentioned we're in reduced programming. We're running our summer safe sleep. Now it's always reduced, not just because of COVID. So now our opportunities really are daytime when we have staff present. And again, at the Micah Center and at Wellspring, those two are daytime opportunities because that's when they're open. So right now, the timing is a little more limited. Certainly, we still welcome service groups in. We schedule those separately. We've got one coming up this weekend, things like that. But we're certainly willing to work with people too, depending on what their interests are and their availability. We really try to accommodate that.
Okay, and one more question for you that I have is, can you share a story with us about maybe an impact or a general story that you have from a group of volunteers within St. John's, the Wellspring, or the Micah Center?
Absolutely. So I would love to talk about our group of hospitality volunteers over at Wellspring. So there's a group of, it's over 20 women. So Wellspring serves women, so our volunteers, again, there are women. And so we've got this group of 20 women who are so dedicated to really investing in our female guests at Wellspring, coming day in, day out, snow days, all these things for years. Some of these women have been volunteers at Wellspring before Wellspring was even a part of St. John's. So we've really got some longevity there and some real dedication. And so these women actually won a volunteer award this year just for the beauty in their service. I'm so proud of them. We recently had a guest pass away who was a guest of Wellspring, and she said that the volunteers and the staff just treated her with such dignity, gave her such hope, and were always so kind to her. And I think it's so important to remember because guests in general, we deal with such a wide spectrum. Some people are having substance abuse or mental health or physical things going on. It's such a wide spectrum. Some guests are, more difficult than others relationally or behaviorally or just many things. And it's so important to remember that each person is impacted by what we do. And so we want what we bring to them to be our best, for their benefit. And it just is all the more important then when you hear of a guest passing to know they just shared with someone how much St. John's meant to them. And each staff member, each volunteer is just so essential to that.
That's a great story. That's actually the one I was thinking of when I brought up the question. I guess I have one last question for you. If someone is interested in becoming involved with St. John's, the rest of the centers, how can they do so if they're not interested in volunteering?
Sure, there's other ways to get involved. Also on our website, stjohnhomelessshelter.org, browse our tabs. You can hear a little bit about us, like I mentioned. You can see things available to guests, my volunteer tab. We have an Amazon wish list on our website. Our Amazon wish list has very just basic things that we need. So you're going to see things like bottled water or cleaner or hand sanitizer, or things that we constantly run low on. For example, very random, men's small jeans, like waist 30, we never have them, but we need them. And so our Amazon wish list has things like that. We also put out a monthly wish list, things like bike locks or bus passes or coffee. We're low on coffee. So you can see things like that we're low on if you, wish to donate items. Mm-hmm. I mentioned we've got a really awesome bagged lunch crew this summer, and that's COVID related of not wanting to serve food, but more have that grab and go. So we have groups signing up for that. We have people who are on call. Hey, do you need anything? Even like errand type people, like picking things up for us. So even if they're not interested in volunteering on a regular basis, absolutely they can still contact me. In the volunteer tab of the website, there's a form that you can just contact me directly through that if anybody wants to contact me, not necessarily directly volunteering related.
Perfect. Well, thank you so very much. Do you have anything else to add at this point?
You know, I might be biased, but St. John's is really special. I am so proud to be a part of St. John's. I'm so blessed by my relationships with my coworkers, with my volunteers. It's been so hard during COVID to not see people. We've been having regular Zoom meetings amongst, you know, our volunteers just to stay connected and see faces. And so I just really think we're something special, and I would love to welcome you into that.
Thank you so much, Brooke. We appreciate
you.
your time today.
Thanks, everyone.